Hey there, everyone. This is Devin. I'm coming on tonight because I want to encourage some moms and dads out there. And I'm going to wait and see if we get anybody to hop on. I don't want to start too soon. Hey, Kennedy. Hey, Richard. I wanted to come on real quick because I wanted to encourage some moms and dads because I feel like a byproduct of having a blog for so long and then posting so much of what my family does daily on social media, it means that when I go places, I get asked a lot of questions about us and a lot of comments are made. And one of the comments is usually, oh my gosh, you guys have so much fun. Well, we do. We like to get together a lot and we just do silly things and we cook and we have fun and all of those things are true. The next comment is usually, oh my goodness, you're such a strong family. And we are. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we come from strong family lines, but we also have experienced some things that a lot of families haven't experienced that have caused us to come together. I just know that whenever your 14-year-old wants his birthday party to be just family, I just want my family all around me. That's what he wants his party to be. Or like last week, we had a family member, and let's see, we have 11, almost 12 people. So there's 6 children. We have 2 sons-in-law. We have a new one coming on board in April. And so our goal is we just try to be together. And so the other day, one of the older ones had a terrible day. I mean, it was awful. And they came over to the house and just sat with David and I, and we just talked with this person and prayed with them and just spent time with them. And at the end, I said, here's a couple of options. You can either do this, and I gave an option of something that could be done that evening. And I said, or I could get everybody here, get the family here to be with us tonight. It's completely up to you. We'll do whatever you want to do. And this family member said, I just really want my family around. So what I did was we have a family group chat. And if you're a family with some older kids in there, and even if they're younger, but we just really love having a family group chat because we can talk all throughout the day at different times. Sometimes we don't talk at all. Sometimes it's just stupid long messages. And some of the guys have to turn their notifications off because some of us get going really, and having lots of fun. But I put out an APB on that messenger the other night, the group message, and I said, listen, we're having a family meeting tonight at 6:30 and I need you here. And I want to tell you that there were people that called in to work. There were people that changed plans, people that left work early. This family came together for that family member at the time because that's so important. And after that, I started thinking, why is it that way? People ask me a lot, your girls are marrying and they're staying really close. And to me, I just thought that was normal. But I hear a lot that's not, that a lot of times, the kids move off. And for us, it's just I've been spoiled because they're still here and I love it. But I've been trying to figure out why, with all that's happened with our family and the things that should normally tear a family apart, that we are still able to kind of hold it together. And so I realized I went way back to when I first became a mom. And I remember I made a conscious decision at that point that this was a long-term gig. I mean, I knew that whatever I was going to be doing with this baby was going to be something, it wasn't temporary. And I had to be there for her all the time and for the long term. And so I remember thinking, I won't be able to love another child like this ever. So she's going to be an only child because I don't see how I can pour this much into the next one. And so it took me 5 years to do it again because I just couldn't wrap my brain around subdividing my love the way that I thought it would have to be. I also realized that I had one shot at this. I have one opportunity to be a great mom to each of these kids. And if I screw it up, I'm not just screwing up that child, but we're talking about a legacy here. We're talking about the trajectory of an entire family and generations to come. So it was important to me that I try to do everything I could to be a good mom, but to keep us together as a family unit. And so I decided, after having some questions recently about how we do that, I decided to just make just a few notes, and I'm going to share it with you because I know a lot of you parents are out there with younger kids and you think, how am I going to get past this? And if you've got teenagers, you're thinking, oh man, they don't like each other, they don't like me. But I just want to encourage you, there's a lot of things that you can do, even at this point, even if they're older, that are going to hold your family in a stronger bond. So the first one is, it is to encourage their dreams. And I don't want to sound pansy here. Really what I'm saying here is, if they don't know what they want to do when they're younger. And so I never imposed on my kids that they had to go to college. Yeah, it was important to me for us to try. But when we got to a point when we realized that just wasn't something that they were interested in, that's okay. We don't push that. So I never really tried to impose my will on them until I had to. And I have had to do that a couple of times, but fortunately it's paid off. But that's because I knew my kid and I knew what they needed, because we stayed really close. So when they wanted to sing and we're going to be a famous writer, musician one day, and they couldn't sing, I got them in singing lessons. If they wanted to be a basketball player, we do whatever it is. How many sports I've gone through with 6 kids? I mean, it's just been, but it doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's about finding whatever it is in them that just screams, I've arrived. And so that's why I have a humongous 16-year-old. He's 6'6", 300 pounds, and he's in culinary, and he loves it. I never would have chosen something like that for him. So we have to encourage those dreams and visions in them. Another thing is that we have to love them unconditionally. And I know you hear that your whole life. But there are times when, and I remember my mom used to say this, I love you, but I don't like you right now. I used to just cringe when I would hear that from her, until I became a parent and I understood that's exactly how you feel about it. When you love your child, but what they're doing is not good. And so I instilled early on in our family that we apologize. We apologize to whomever we hurt, whether it's me or whether it's a sibling. And I stop things before they can escalate. If I hear one of my children being rude or obnoxious to the other one, I stop that. I don't want it to escalate. I don't want it to continue. I don't want them thinking that that's okay. And I remind them that we don't speak to siblings that way, and we don't speak to anybody in the world that way. That's not good. That's not okay. And we apologize. And the important thing about the apology in our family is, once you've apologized, it's over. So you don't get to bring it back up. You don't get to go, oh, well, you remember that time No, we stop it. Because that's not healthy. That's not good for them. And it teaches them to hold a grudge. And with this many people, if we all sat around and thought about all the ways we've been wronged by somebody else in this family, we would never have a moment of peace. So apologies are super important with us. And I'm the mom that makes the child write the apology letter to the teacher or to the friend, because I feel like it's important that we say, I'm sorry. And if that's not instilled in your family, start it. Because I apologize to my kids all the time if I've wronged them. And I think it's important that they see us doing that and understand that that's the way we have to treat each other in the family as well as in the world. Also, it's important to me to create boundaries. And especially during the times when I was a single mom, that was really important, because there was one of me and 6 of them. And I was not going to win by pure brawn. I had to be smart, and I had to set very clear boundaries that I would not waver from, because I have a few kids, if they sense any weakness in me, they're going to run all over me as fast as they can. And I knew that. And I knew that I had to stand my ground and not buckle, because they would overpower me. And I wasn't going to let that happen. I was the mom. So creating those boundaries are important in that way. But another way is when you are the mom, you are the one they come to. The one they come to with their worries and their issues. And it became important to me that I keep their secrets. The last thing we need is me telling something that's not okay to share, because then I'm not safe. And this home is not safe. And for whatever reason, these kids like to come back here a lot. And I'd like to say it's because they know that they can be who they are here. And it's a safe place for them to say, you know what, I really messed up. I lied. I did this. I did that. And I'm the kind of parent, and David is too, we don't freak out over that. We process that with them and say, yeah, that was wrong, or that was a really jerky move, and you should not have done that. But why? Let's talk about why this happened. We don't scream and holler and yell, because if you yell, that makes your home not safe to them. And that's so important, especially during the developmental years. And then if you want them to come back and see you and bring your grandchildren, make it a safe place. I also hold them accountable for what they do. I'm one of those people that really believes in natural consequences. They need to understand that if they do A, they know B is going to happen. And that's natural. You can't not do your homework and expect an A. And if you don't do your homework and the teacher messages me and says, well, your child didn't get his homework in, but I'm going to extend it a day so he can get it in, I'm the mom that goes, oh, please don't do that. Please hold him accountable to that date. I would rather him get a 0 than for you to change the rules, because you see, he needs to understand that in the real world, his boss isn't going to give him that extra day. So I need to be the bad cop now. You need to be the bad cop with me. And we need to teach him that this is what life is like in the real world. You can't get extensions all the time. You can't choose not to do what you're required to do. You can't do that as an adult, as a wife and a mother, or a father and a husband. No, you have to instill those things in them when they're this age. And that became something that has just driven me, because I've always said to my children, my goal is to produce productive members of society. If that means that you are flipping burgers at McDonald's, you're going to do it better than anybody else there. And you're going to take care of yourself. So we're going to follow natural consequences of your actions. And we stick with that. We don't waver on that. Another thing, probably one of the last things, is that I fight for them. I'm not that mom that always goes to bat for their kid because she feels like they can do no wrong, or they're smarter or better or more talented. That's not me at all. I don't think that helps them. I think that does them a disservice when you do that. So I think letting the teachers know that you have their back, that your child is fallible and they are going to mess up, but that you support the teacher in those consequences. Now, I expect those as a parent. If it says that, then I expect my child to be held accountable with that. But in the meantime, there's a flip side of that too, because part of fighting for them is protecting their hearts. And there are some things in this world that they don't need to know. There are adult things that they don't need to know. I'm not talking about the obvious adult things that we know, like bad movies or bad rap songs or something like that. I'm talking about adult information that they just can't process until they are adults. And it becomes better for me not to tell them things to protect their hearts and their minds and their souls. Then it's better for me not to say it than it is for me to get it out of me. You know, it would feel great to share some of this information, but that's self-serving. That's making me feel better. But it's dumping on them ideas and thoughts and things that they can't process. as children that they're going to have to wait on until they get older. So it means fighting for them and putting my own needs to feel heard sometimes, putting those in the back burner because I don't need to be heard as much as they need to have a childhood, a healthy childhood. And so those are really, those are sticklers with me. Something I've always told my girls, well, in fact, all of them, is I say, if you're in a situation where you know you don't want to go someplace or you feel a little pressured or do you just feel like it's a bad idea, you blame me. It's blame mom, always. My mom said no. Pick up the phone and pretend to call me if you need to. But my mom said no. How many kids are going to come and duke it out with me? None. None. So if I see something like that going on in the community, I will stop and have a conversation with the child. My kids know that they just blame me anytime they need to. Now, it's kind of backfired a few times, especially when I've got grown children all of a sudden using the mom card when they just don't want to have to make a decision. It cuts off when you hit a certain age, and I no longer am to blame. But every once in a while, we pull it back out. But, that's our jobs. That's what we're supposed to do as parents. They're going to throw us under the bus sometimes, our kids are, but that's okay. It's just for a short time. And I just know that to have a good and healthy family, and we're there, we make mistakes and people don't always get along. And we have to apologize a lot to each other because we screw up a lot. I just know that we have to look through the long term. The baby stage and the teenager stage and even the young married adult stages, those are tough. In fact, sometimes the young marrieds need you more than the infants do. They just need that support and they need to know that what's happening with them is normal and okay. So know that that's your role there, and to have that kind of strong family unit, there's no greater feeling than when all of my children that are available at that time are at my house and we're sitting together watching a movie or watching a football game or dancing or just cooking and eating and being together. And I realize now, the older I get, that that's important to them too. All three of my girls are going to live close. 2 live down the road now, another one's moving down the road. That's a blessing. I know my boys might not do that, but for right now, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy living with them and encouraging them and knowing that maybe, just maybe, the thoughts I had when I had my first baby and the stand I've taken all throughout these last 28 years are going to be carried on when I'm gone, because I tell them when they have troubles among each other, someday I'm going to be gone and I won't be here for you. And I need to know that you guys are going to love each other and care for each other the same way that I did for you. That's going to make me happy. So maybe a little guilt here and there saying that that's something that's so important to me, but it is. It really is the most important thing to me. So anyway, I just want to encourage some moms and dads tonight that it's going to get better, and it's a little hard, but if you just follow some of those suggestions that I gave you, I just know for my family it has worked, and we love to be together every chance we get. Have a great night.